Hi, my name's Nick Muller, and today I'm talking with you about the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Okay, so why would we talk about the 5 dysfunctions of a team? Sounds a little bit negative. And the answer is, or the rationale is that to get a team to become more functional and reach the point where they have attention to results, we need to, first of all, establish the base pillars that will actually increase the level of functionality in the team. Okay, so that's all very fine, but then how do we do that? And the answer is, well, we actually first of all have to identify the dysfunction of the team. Okay, so Patrick Lencioni undertook a body of research and discovered and wrote a book called 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Really valuable piece of work. So to create an environment where people have attention to results and they actually are on board with the company direction, we need to first of all set them up or set up the organization so people can play a game they can win. Okay, and we're trying to shift the company culture from an I-based paradigm where it's all about me to a we-based paradigm where people work collaboratively with each other in order to get to the result. Okay, so a number of things have to happen at the same time to get this culture or cultural norm to play out. Okay, and then you get velocity and you get a stronger brand delivery and all the good stuff. Okay, so we're trying to make the shift from a me-based culture to a we-based culture. Okay, and to have a motivated team, we need to first of all have team functionality. Right, so if you haven't got that, then you're not going to get to the second point, which is understanding, or the people understanding, that it's more about the big picture than their personal self-preservation. Okay, so if we haven't got that, we're not going anywhere. And people need to be able to see the strategy and see their part in the strategy, in the direction of the business. So we need to have an actual strategy that we're working towards. And people need to see visible progress against the strategy or their work in line with the strategy. So they actually need to have KPIs or visible dashboards or some way of noticing or being able to acknowledge that their work is not all just about their work and just about making money for the employer, but or the corporate or whoever it may be, the leader. It's actually about contributing to the forward progress of the organization. Okay, so how does 5 dysfunctions of a team work? Well, the first dysfunction is lack of trust. And did you ever notice that different people have different behavioral styles? Okay, so some people are more methodical and systematic. Some people are more dominant and they talk first and listen second. Some people listen first and talk second. Some people are more analytical. Some people are better people than, say, the analytical people. Some people, and people do have behavioral traits that cross over between being analytical and systematic or caring and nurturing. So people do have behavioral styles with 2 or more traits, but generally there's one dominant trait. Okay, so I'm really talking about DISC, right? And DISC is, or Myers-Briggs, or any combination of them, are generally based on the 4-quadrant model. Okay, so there's dominant, influential, systematic, and compliant in DISC. And really what I'm referring to is that different people are wired differently, okay? And we have strengths in some areas and weaknesses and vice versa. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a team that leverages their strengths, okay? And everybody's wired different. And we need to actually understand each other's different strengths and weaknesses and leverage the strengths of each other to get a better result collaboratively or collectively. Okay, so I'm not going to talk too much about behavioral styles, but what you need to know in building a team is that everybody's wired different, and understanding each other's different behavioural styles is a massive contributor to increasing the level of trust, or the base level of trust in an organisation. Okay, so that's the first thing. Once people are comfortable with each other's different behavioural styles, and they get that some people are more analytical and some people are snappy in the morning before they've had their coffee, and then they're your best friend in the afternoon when they're having a glass of wine with you on a Friday afternoon, for argument's sake. It depersonalises the argy-bargy or the angst that people have towards each other. Okay, so they just become comfortable and they can sort of drop their guard a little bit. Once that's happened, then we need to actually naturally move to the next step. And in the next stage, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get more robust, productive conflict happening. Okay, so there is a version of unproductive conflict, which is talking over each other, disregarding people's point of view, dominating the conversation, all those kind of things. And also passive withholding, the passive conscientious objectors, they're actually contributing to unproductive conflict. Okay, so by withholding and freezing people out and brick-walling people, that is also part of unproductive conflict. So what that does is it means that the more dominant people feel like they have to dominate the conversation even further to be heard. Okay, so either way we lose, right? So we're trying to get out of this unproductive conflict situation into a more productive scenario. And to do that, we actually need to mine for conflict. Okay, so the impetus is soft on people, hard on ideas. Okay, soft on people, hard on ideas. And when we mine for conflict from the conscientious objectors or even the more dominant extroverted personality types, we actually need to slow them down. And quite often I say the word slow down, tiger. Let's hear what you really have to say. What's actually underneath that? Okay, so the dominant people, we need to get them to share their point of view, not dominate and tell and force their way around the show. We need to actually get them to share their perspective. Okay, and the more quiet types, we need to actually get them to bring forward and put it on the table. They can't just withhold, because if they withhold and we make a decision without them, they're going to whack the handbrake on and slow down progress. Okay, so productive conflict is about people knowing they have a voice, that their say is valuable, and they're going to be acknowledged for their contribution, even if we have to go in a different direction. Doesn't matter. So it's agree, disagree, and commit. Okay. Once you've got trust and conflict working, then what happens is commitment comes along for the ride. So lack of commitment is a team dysfunction. Okay, so we need to get past lack of commitment. So we force closure. That's how we get past lack of commitment. So in essence, basically, we've heard what you have to say. You don't necessarily agree with all of it. We do agree with some of it, but in essence, the bus needs to move forward. The business needs to move forward. We're headed to our direction that we're going to. It's a future-based paradigm or a future-based place that we're going to get to in the next 5 years, for argument's sake. And are you on the bus or not? Because we really need to know. So we need to actually get commitment in order to get to the next stage where we get accountability. So avoidance of accountability accountability won't happen if people aren't committed. And I just want to talk about commitment for a second, because people have this idea that commitment means I have to comply with everything that you tell me. And that's not right. So commitment is I'm committed, right? I'm committed to the journey, okay? I'm on the bus to where we're going in the next 5 years. We've done some planning. We know what the idea is in terms of the direction, we know what we're trying to accomplish, and I'm committed. Now, the thing about commitment is you're committed in principle, okay? Which means that sometimes you're going to fail, right? With commitment in relationships, people fail sometimes. They fail to meet their commitment, something goes wrong, da, da, da. But what it means is that it's really about the direction they're facing, okay? They're coming with you on the ride. It doesn't mean, well, I've met my commitments, so I've ticked all the boxes, and what more do you want? Because essentially what that is people painting themselves in a corner. That's not committed. Well, that's not committed to the direction of the business. That's just committed to themselves and self-preservation. Okay, so that's playing a me game. It's not playing a we game. We're getting people on the bus to work with us to get to where we want to go. We're going to measure them and hold them accountable along the way. But failure was also part of that. They're not always going to succeed, and we're always not always going to succeed as a leader. But if we're committed in principle, we're working together to get to where we want to go. And that's the difference between, or that's really what commitment means. It doesn't mean I'm going to tick all the boxes and do what you tell me to, because that's just being complicit or being compliant. And if I'm just being compliant, then I can also disregard the direction of the business. That's not right. That's the level of commitment we need to get from people, team members. And team members sense this in other team members. Okay, so if one team member's not committed, but three are, and three are playing a we game and one's not, they're going to pick that up. Okay, they're going to get frustrated with that person, and they're going to get frustrated with the leadership for not calling it out and dealing with it. Okay, all right, so accountability. We want to get away from avoidance of accountability. And we want to get accountability to happen cross-collaterally, so sideways. Okay, so accountability is like, I'm trying to work towards meeting my objectives. I won't always get there necessarily, but I'm working towards it actively, proactively. Okay, and I'm willing to be accountable for not reaching my target. Now, you get accountability when it's safe. Okay, so if you haven't got trust and the boss is breathing down their neck, the leader's pushing too hard in terms of results, not actions, we're going to create mistrust, and this whole thing is going to disappear. Okay, so and you're back into Groundhog Day, where you're pushing hard and getting no results. People aren't thinking for themselves; they become demoralised. So to create an upward spiral where people are playing a game they can win, and they enjoy being in the organisation, working with you, the leadership, and working with each other. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy, by the way. To create this environment, we need to, first of all, make sure it's safe. And then finally, we get to attention to results. So that's what we're really after, is attention to results, okay? And the thing about this is it's permanent, okay? So if we can instill this in our organisation as a cultural norm, it's permanent. So you don't have to constantly be at the bottom of the cliff, ambulance at the bottom of the cliff, fixing things that are broken, okay? So the culture will take a life of its own, and it will mend itself as it goes along. All right, okay, so this is how to create a motivated team. So first of all, motivated team. We have now got a functional team that we understand the principles. We've done some work with them. We've spent some time with them. We've worked our way through processes that get people to work collaboratively. We've implemented measures to hold people accountable towards the direction we're headed in. We're not demoralising them, undermining them, and they're not demoralising and undermining each other. And no character assassinations or anything like that. We're now in an organisation that has positive vibe and a culture that has attention to results. Okay, and when we've got this, and they understand what the big picture is, and that it's about the big picture, not personal self-preservation, and they can see the strategy and their visible progress against the strategy, then you have the foundation or the bones for an organization where people are playing a game they can win. By default, you win. Thanks for listening. Cheers.